Welcome back to the Power Project. I have a subject on my heart today that I really want to just share with you all, my audience, because it's something that comes up time and time again. I have women ask me about this. I have women who don't even realize they are experiencing this, and men as well. It's something that I get really fired up about because it makes me really sad when people experience this and they don't know how to move past it. It's actually the exact reason that I created this podcast and this platform, because I was experiencing women that had this limited mindset and they didn't believe in themselves. And I just wanted to find a way to help them realize that they could do so much more than what they gave themselves credit for. So here we are, 85 episodes in, and I'm still just as passionate about helping women realize this. So today I wanted to bring this to you and really just encourage you all to see yourselves as your creator created you to be and step into your calling. Because we are in a place where I'm having a lot of conversations with people that maybe they don't necessarily want to go back to what they did before. Maybe what they did before is not serving them now in the same way that it was before. And so there's a lot of people that have allowed themselves to think creatively and dream again and remember what it was on their heart that they really wanted to do in the first place. And as I'm having these conversations with people and I'm hearing what it is that they would do, if they could do anything, if nothing was tying them back, if this was an option to press the restart button and just completely redo whatever it is that they want to do at this point. As we're getting into these conversations, I see them start to light up and start to dream again and realize the potential and the possibility of taking a different path than what they've always taken. However, I also see a really familiar trend start to surface, and I see their self-doubt. I see their insecurity. I see their limited mindset start to take hold. And I want to just press pause on that right now. And I want to encourage you, if that is you at home, I want to encourage you to keep dreaming, keep striving, keep opening your mind to other possibilities and opportunities, and keep taking steps to move in that direction. So while people in general share this common limited mindset, it seems to be that I see women all too often just really be completely debilitated by it. I see them have their dreams come crashing down. I see them not pursue their goals. I see them never taking the step to show up for themselves in order to be able to show up for others. And I don't know why it's so easy for us to give in to limited beliefs and why it's so much easier for us to believe a lie that Satan is whispering in our ears than it is for us to believe the words of our Creator that says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. But I see this all too often. And it's not just one type of woman that falls into this limited belief category. I see highly successful women down to women who have maybe not ever had success in their life, or women that have endured trauma, and women that have been given awards and trophies. For some reason, it's just easier for us to believe those lies than it is for us to believe who we are and who we were created to be. So that is why I'm here today. I want to change that conversation. If there is nothing else that anyone says about me at the end of my life, I want them to say that I taught people to believe in themselves, because I don't think that we were ever intended to doubt ourselves so much, to doubt who God created us to be. So much. And women believe all the lies. They believe the lies that they're not smart enough, They're not educated enough. They're not qualified enough. They're not old enough. They're not young enough. They're not strong enough. They're not brave enough. And when I sit with mentees, I often have them in the very beginning to get a feel for what they believe about themselves. I like to ask them, who would God say that you are? What would your called word be? And these range from warrior to overcomer to victorious, redeemed. And the one that comes up over and over and over again is enough. And although I hear people say that God would say they were enough, I also see on their face that they don't believe that they are enough. And this breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks me. He tells us, we have a whole book that tells us word for word how much more than enough he says we are. Like just our very existence and loving him is enough. That's all. And I don't understand why this becomes such a struggle within the female community. I have a friend that is a licensed counselor, has her master's. She's incredible. And I asked her one time if she would come speak at a retreat on self-care for me. And her first question was, what am I going to speak about? Why do you want me? I'm like, hey, guess what? There's a lot of letters behind your name. You are qualified. Come speak. And then I have another friend who is a highly successful executive in corporate America. She has led a global sales team for a Fortune 500 company. And as we're talking, I'm telling her, you really need to write a book. And she says, what would I write about? What do I have to offer? Like, oh my, you inspire people, you motivate people, you train people. Like you've had great success. And it goes all the way to the mom who's at home who has raised these amazing children and navigated a blended family so well that doesn't think she has a message to share. Or we can take it all the way to the mentees that I mentor that have endured trauma and abuse and unfathomable circumstances. When I start with them, they've never been told how worthy or valued or loved or smart or strong they are. And I realize how crucial and how important it is for people to hear those words, because we have to hear them over and over for them to believe them, for them to start even leaning into the concept that maybe they are enough. And when I start pointing out their strengths to them, I can see their eyes lighting up. I can see them wanting so desperately to believe the words. And when they tell me they're not smart enough, they're not educated enough, they're not skilled enough to follow those dreams, I have to stop and point them back to who created them. I have to point them back to who they were created to be, who God meant for them to be in life. And I have to remind them often just how valued and how worthy they are. And I know that it is incredibly imperative that you've heard these words before. If today is the only time, the first time in your life that you are hearing them, or if today is the first time in your life that you're willing to listen to them, I ask this one thing from you. I ask that you have an open mind and an open heart. And I ask that you'll be willing to listen to this message a little more intently than you're listening to the negative voices inside your head. Because those are lies from Satan. He does not want you to do anything that is going to further the kingdom or bring glory to God. He wants you to stay in that place of slavery where you are a slave to the thoughts inside of your head, where you don't believe that you're enough or you're worthy enough, where you don't think that you have the skills required to go chase that dream, to go start that new business, to go start a nonprofit, to go volunteer, to step out in faith and serve your community. The longer that you sit believing those lies and the longer that you sit listening to those words is the longer that you are not serving your purpose in life. The longer that you let those limited beliefs win, then the less victories you're going to have out there in the communities, in the networks, building bridges, doing whatever it is that you are called to do right now in your heart, where your heart is pounding to do something, and you have this idea, but you also feel like you might not be qualified enough to bring that dream or that goal to fruition. Maybe you're focusing on all the ways that you're not prepared to do what it is that you're called to do. So I work with women on a regular basis that have a dream. Every woman has a dream somewhere. Every person has a dream somewhere. There is something in your heart that you want to do in life. Whether you believe you can or not, there is something there. And oftentimes, we have focused so much on what stands between us and that dream that we've let that dream slip away, that we've forgotten about that dream. So I want you to close your eyes right now. And I want you to think back to when you were a little girl and there was something that you wanted to do in life before anyone told you that you can't. I want you to hold on to that. And then I want you to think of when you were in high school and you were preparing for graduation and you had a dream and you had a goal of something you wanted to accomplish. And I want you to hold on to that moment. And then I want you to think of a time when you felt like maybe it was too late and maybe you missed the bus. Hold on to that. Open your eyes. It's not too late and you haven't missed the bus. And we are going to work through helping you change your limiting mindset and helping you realize what you have to offer the world. I have a really successful friend that I just had this conversation with over the weekend who was working on a book. And I asked, "Where's the book?" And she said, "I had some limiting beliefs that have stopped me in my tracks." And you guys, I've done this. I've gone through this. This is exactly why I'm passionate about bringing it to you. I have felt unqualified. I have felt unworthy. I have felt like I am not smart enough. I'm not educated enough. I'm not X, Y, and Z. So let's work through all the ways that you can combat this and you can start to move past this. All right, so take out your pen. Take out your paper, and I want you to write down whatever it is that you're feeling pulled to, whatever it is that you're dreaming about doing, whatever it is that you really would like to accomplish in this lifetime. And I want you to write your top 3. And I want you to look at those and really be honest. I don't care how large it is, how big it is. We do not get to put limits on our dreams right now, okay? God's going to limit those in the way that he sees fit, but we don't get to do that. We get to put it down and we get to say, this is what I would like to do. Obviously, we're not able to sprout wings and go fly. So let's make sure that it is realistic, but nonetheless, it's a dream on our heart that we want to accomplish. So write down those top 3. And then we are going to start working towards having the beliefs to realize these dreams. I want you to write down 3 things that you do best. In my class, we've previously at this point done a brain dump where we have just free flow written down all the things we're good at. But right now, I want you to really intentionally think about the top 3 things that you do in life. And this looks like how you show up and you serve your network, how you serve your community, how you can serve an employer or an organization. Think about caring for others, conflict resolution, collaboration, networking, organizing, communicating, manual labor, just all the things that you do really well. Like maybe it's follow direction well. Maybe it's that you look out for the underdog. Whatever it is, write down those 3 things, your top 3 things that you do best. Second, we're going to write down, and you'll have to go back maybe, and when you have a little more time and we're not in the middle of the podcast, you can go back and listen to this a little more intently if I leave you. You can just press pause. I'll be here hanging out, waiting on you to push play again. Secondly, you're going to write my top skills. This can be anything from public speaking to baking pies. Whatever specific skills you have, you're going to write down your top 3. This is going to be really specific to who you are and what you bring to the table. So perhaps it's bookkeeping or data entry, painting, teaching, cooking, writing, childcare, caregiving, whatever it is that you do really well, your skills. So we've done the 3 things that we do best as far as serving our community and our network and how we show up. Now we're honing in on skills. This is a little more specific and a little more broken down. Like what you actually bring to the table to serve your community. And this is not to be confused with certification or education. This has nothing to do with that. Those are documents and paperwork. And we're talking about actual skills, things you know how to do. All right. Third, we're going to write down my main skill roadblocks are. This is where we are going to acknowledge the areas that we're lacking in. Now, hold on. Don't hang up the phone. Don't stop the podcast. Don't quit watching the video. Just sit with me for a minute. List your top 3 skill roadblocks, meaning something that you are lacking, something you don't know how to do. Because when we realize our roadblocks, we can learn how to overcome them. So maybe you want to start a podcast, but you have no idea how to podcast. I was there. So my roadblock on my skill there would have been, I don't actually know how to produce a podcast. Lucky for you, there are YouTube videos and podcasts and Google searches and blogs and all these things that you can go find out how to do whatever it is. There are classes and courses, but there's a ton of free information, kind of like my Skillshare course on podcasting. You can go learn how to overcome those roadblocks by just educating yourself. Possibly you want to become more tech savvy. Or maybe you're not great at marketing, so you're going to go find someone who is and do what they tell you to do. If you're like I was in business in general, you're not great at bookkeeping or accounting. Once again, find a trusted resource that is and follow them. Learn from them. All right, so 4th, you're going to write down skills I would most like to learn. This is where we have to remind ourselves that just because we don't know how to do something right now doesn't mean that we can't learn how to do something, because we didn't know how to do anything until we learned how to do it. So we're going to write down our top 3 skills that we need in order to help us realize our dreams and chase our goals. Write those skills down. And then we can't just leave them hanging out there. We have to take action. So whatever it is, maybe it is research what type of equipment I need to do this. I'm using my own personal experience. For me, I needed to learn how to do QuickBooks and bookkeeping. So I hired a QuickBook expert to come in for a day and teach me how to do that. Or maybe it was how to podcast and produce a podcast. So I listened to all the mentors that were telling me how to do that. How to do search engine optimization. I researched the heck out of that. Whatever it is that you're needing to do. If you're wanting to start a nonprofit, go research. If you're wanting to start a social enterprise company, like I have been in the process of doing, go research. Talk to other social enterprise founders. Go talk to your accountant about your ins and outs of the legal setup of it. So find out what your skill roadblocks are, find out what you're lacking, and then we're going to actually take action and make a plan to overcome the roadblocks, and we're going to learn the skills that we need to learn to move forward. 5th, we are going to write down my negative character traits are, and we're going to list our top 3 negative character traits. Okay, just hang in there with me. This can be insecurity, self-doubt, fearfulness, anxiousness, unreliability, disorganization, disrespectfulness, undependability, indecisiveness, unforgiving, being undisciplined. Just be honest here, because when you actually realize your character traits, the negative character traits, then you can start to change them. It doesn't mean we have to get stuck there or be defined by those traits. It just means that we need to work towards turning them into a positive and flipping them. Lastly, you need to write down my 3 greatest character strengths. See, this is where it gets good, and this is where we get to have fun with it. I want you to own this, whether it is dependability, integrity, respectfulness, patience, courage, hardworking, reliability, loyalty, perseverance, self-discipline, confidence, selflessness. Write those strengths down, and I want you to stand confidently in those strengths. I want you to focus on those. This is who God created you to be. You can own this. And then when you start to doubt yourself or you start to feel unequipped for the call that's on your heart, I want you to circle back around to these strengths and remember these are your greatest character strengths. This is how you show up in the world for others. In the beginning of this exercise, when I'm doing this one-on-one with mentees, I typically will ask them what they are good at. And oftentimes, most people can't answer the question. Even if they know in their heart of hearts what they are good at, they're afraid to answer it in fear that they're going to be overconfident or cocky or arrogant. I don't know what it's all about, but I do know that even those who know their strengths, their character strengths, they don't know how to communicate them. And they are afraid of saying, I'm really great at this. So I like to throw things out and I like to give them ideas to think about. And I like to start out with some basic strengths that you can have, some basic skills, some basic things that you're good at. So I typically start out by asking if you like to cook. And if you like to cook, if you are a cook, then you will tell me with great pride that you're an amazing cook, that you love to cook and you're so good at cooking. Because you guys, a good cook knows they are a good cook. They know what they are good at. And so I'll ask, what is your favorite dish to cook? I love watching their faces as they light up, as they tell me about their amazing breaded pork chops or their mouth-watering fried chicken or their perfectly flaky crusted apple pie. And I will go into detail on this and say, tell me about it. How do you prepare this? What do you put in yours? What seasonings do you use? And they'll tell me, and they'll take great pride in the process of this apple pie that they roll out the crust and make. And they like to get it bubbly in the center where it's just boiling and the edges are brown and they're crisp and they're warm and the center's golden. And as I watch this, I can see the pride that they take in it. I can see the strength bubbling up. I can see the confidence. I can see their shoulders held back. They're not doubting themselves. They're not insecure. They know they make the best apple pie around. So then moments later, while we're into the activity, as we get to the part about skill roadblocks, I can instantly see them start to shrink. I can see them start to hang their head. I watch their eyes fall as they realize what they are lacking. I can see their confidence begin to shrink. I can see literally their dreams slipping away because they realize what they don't have that they need to accomplish what it is that they're working on. And quickly, I ask them if they knew how to prepare that award-winning recipe before they made it the first time. Did they know how to make an apple pie before they baked that pie? Did they know how to fry chicken before they breaded their first chicken breast and fried it? And then I remind them how confident they were sharing that process with me, how they owned it, how they told me how great of a cook they were. I remind them how proud they feel when they serve that dish to their anxiously awaiting friends and family that cannot wait to devour it. And then I remind them just how satisfied they feel when the plates are clean and everyone is raving over how delicious this food was. And they didn't know how to do that before they learned how to do that. We don't know how to do anything until we learn the process. So we can stand in our strengths and we can realize our weaknesses and we can learn what we don't yet know to follow that call that we're being called to. Maybe you don't cook. That's okay. That's okay. There is something in life that you are great at It's something that you do really well that at one time you didn't even know how to do. You had to learn it, whether it is singing or sewing, playing an instrument, crafting, organizing, gardening, speaking, running, working out, heck, doing your hair in some perfect beach wave curls. Whatever it is, own that and store that to memory. And when you begin to become overwhelmed with what you don't yet know how to do, when you begin to question whether or not you're qualified to take that step of faith and to follow that call, I want you to remember that you once did not know how to do whatever it is that you're great at doing today. We all have to start somewhere. And the first place I want you to start is by changing your mindset. Don't be limited by the negative talk that goes on inside of your mind. Be willing to do big things. Be willing to answer the call. And speaking of, I'm presenting in a virtual summit this week. I am so incredibly excited about this. This is the best part of the new normal that we're all navigating, is that what would typically require me to travel away from my family and stay somewhere out of town and have hotel expenses and travel expenses, now we're actually able to do online, where there are people coming together collaboratively, stepping out in faith, not believing the negative talk inside of their mind, and believing in themselves and making an impact together. So I'm in this summit. There are 30 presenters, and they are all sharing their stories of their own purpose journey. I want every single one of you to tune in, because I think that you're going to love this. Now, it starts today. It is live today, but that's okay, because you can go back and watch. It's free. It's free for you to attend. If you want to go ahead and grab an all access pass, then you're able to get a free chapter of my book, as well as, oh my goodness, like 20 or 30 other free giveaways. And you guys, there's some incredible giveaways. Like, there's a workbook to walk you through discovering your purpose that is a $99 value. It's awesome. So I would love to have you join me in that summit. I'm going to share the link in the show notes, as well as on my Instagram and my Facebook. So make sure you check all of that out. You can DM me if you don't see the information. And you can always hit me up with an email, brandy@the-powerproject.com. I love you guys. I hope that you think today a little differently than you did before you tuned in for this episode. I hope that you maybe have expanded your mind a little bit to realize your strengths, your gifts, and your character traits that only you bring to the table. Now go out and chase that calling, whatever it is.